Governor, I'm not asking about card check, I'm not asking about Employee Free Choice Act, but I am asking, should it be easier for unions to organize at non-union workplaces? And if so, how would you try to make it so?
I think that we want to protect the rights of workers in the United States to organize without undue pressure from either side. One way to do that, Bill, is to speed up the process of elections so that there's less time to exert undue pressure from either side. Similarly, I think,
Are you saying yes?
I am saying yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm extending upon the yes, Bill,
Okay.
by saying that not only do we want to speed up that process so that there's less opportunity for undue pressure on folks, but I think we should look at increased penalties for either side in the process of that discussion and the process of having that democratic election. We need to make sure that there are stiff penalties for either side that tries to intimidate workers in either direction.
Senator Lincoln, 1 minute rebuttal.
Well, I think it's completely appropriate to ask about EFCA and card check. And I think it's certainly completely appropriate for the voters of Arkansas to know where Bill stands on that issue, which he has not been clear about at all. But I think that it is most important that we create an environment where we can create jobs. I think the economy is the biggest issue, and job creation is critical. I think we need to create an environment where business and management can get along better. We're in a serious situation in terms of our economy, and I hope that we'll do that. I think without a doubt, we need to look at the National Labor Relations Board to reform some of the issues there, imposing stiffer penalties for violations and crackdowns on any repeat offender from either side, whether it's business or whether it's labor, to ensure that what we are getting is a fair opportunity for workers to organize. I've always supported a worker's right to organize, and I always will.
Lieutenant Governor, do you care to address the remarks regarding card check?
I absolutely would. The fact is, I've said clearly to Bill Simmons just now, and I'll say it again, there's a compromise that is being discussed by a number of senators in which these very principles would be put into place, speeding up of elections, putting more penalties in place. I think it's fair to point out, if Senator Lincoln wants to criticize my position on employee free choice, I think it's fair to point out that she was a co-sponsor of the Employee Free Choice Act. And then when it came to a vote, decided to oppose the Employee Free Choice Act. Then told the leadership she would filibuster the Employee Free Choice Act. And then in terms of job creation, look, I want to do everything possible to create jobs as well. But I don't think that you can say that giving workers the right to decide whether or not to organize is the biggest inhibitor of our economy right now. The fact is, this train wreck caused by lack of oversight of Wall Street is what's causing the economic conditions that we're having, and in fact is causing people, millions of Americans, to have lost their job.
Thank you, Lieutenant Governor. Senator Lincoln, a brief response.
Well, I think that without a doubt the economic times we find ourselves in are extremely different than what we may have been in. But I think the most important question is would the unions, would the national DC unions spend $4 million in this state of their hard-earned workers' union dues of their members to defeat me because Bill believes in a compromise? There is no compromise. Their issue is EFCA. It's the #1 issue. They come into my office. I've visited with them. I have worked with the labor unions. I've been voting with them 82% of the time, just about. The point is this is their issue, and they wouldn't be in this state spending $4 million of negative TV ads, not to mention what they do in the mail and on the telephones and other things, just for him to support a compromise. So I just think it's important to ask Bill to bring out his questionnaire. I mean, I've certainly filled out the questionnaire.
Thank you, Senator. All right, we got the $4 million question, Lieutenant Governor.
Absolutely. Let's point out the facts. The fact is that Senator Lincoln has received more direct contributions from organized labor, in fact, almost 3 times more contributions from organized labor over her career than I have. The reason that they're spending $4 million in this race, by the way, uncoordinated with me in any way, is that they have said publicly they feel like you have turned your back on working men and women in Arkansas. You talk about outside interest? No, 40,000 Arkansans decided that they would endorse me in this race rather than you. And the reason for that is that they believe I have an economic plan to get jobs going. They believe that, in fact, You have told them one thing and then done another. And look, if we want to talk about special interests pouring money in here, why don't you ask that the folks who are running ads claiming that I'm privatizing Social Security to identify themselves? We have no idea who they are.
You know what?
I'm enjoying myself.
Bill themselves. Absolutely, I think you're absolutely right on target there, Bill. I'd be loving to make sure that people would tell who they are instead of making cagey names and putting it at the bottom of their ads or their postcards or anything else.
That's good, because the Council for Arkansans for Common Sense hid behind the fact that he was their lawyer and would not indicate who's paying for these ads.
We've moved a bit far. The next question.